Y'all, today we're going to continue with poetry by learning 3 new poetic devices that are going to come super easy to you. Let's begin with inversion, also known as anastrophe. It's a literary technique in which you just flip the normal order of words. And the reason that a poet might do this is because they want to emphasize a line, they want to continue a meter, they want to continue a rhyme scheme, or they just do it for a style. Let's take a look at what that means. In silent night when rest I took, near I did not look. I wakened was with thundering noise and piteous shrieks of dreadful voice. So let's look at those first 2 lines. In silent night when rest I took. That's inversion. She reversed that order of lines. It should say when I took my rest at night. That's all it is. It's just a flip. Any of you who are familiar with Yoda from Star Wars, you know that he does this all the time. Hungry I am, eat I must. He just flips those words so that it has a different effect. And we all know Yoda for doing those types of things. For sorrow near, I did not look. Flip them. I did not look for sorrow near. That's all she did. She just flipped them because she needed to do that to keep her rhyme scheme. See? Took, look, noise, voice. And that's all inversion is. So how can we use inversion, and how would poets use inversion? You place an adjective after the noun it qualifies. The soldier strong instead of the strong soldier. Place a verb before its subject, shouts the policeman instead of the policeman shouts. And place a noun before its preposition, worlds between. And that's it. That's inversion. Very simple. Next thing we're going to look at is parallelism. When something is parallel, or 2 things are parallel, running parallel to each other, they're next to each other, okay? And they're similar. So the repetition of sentence structure or word order to achieve a rhythmical effect. So things are going to be held side by side and be similar in parallelism. So parallel sentence structure, when a poet tries to achieve that, the subject, verb, and object go in the same order across multiple lines. Typically, if one line has 2 adjectives, the next likely will too. They're just going to repeat what they do on this side, or in this line, so that it all feels parallel or running similar. Parallel rhythms mean similar rhythms across lines. Bump, 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 bump. They're going to keep that rhythm all throughout. Not all of the lines have to have the same or similar rhythm, but the majority of them should. So let's take a look at this. Here's a poem by Gwendolyn Brooks called We Real Cool. This is for the pool players, 7 at the Golden Shovel. We real cool, we left school. We lurk late, we strike straight. We sing sin, we thin gin. We jazz June, we die soon. And there you have it. All she did was repeat the meter. All throughout, she repeated the order of words. We left school. We lurk late. We strike straight. None of that is different. And that's parallelism, and she did it on purpose. That brings us to our biggie today, which is juxtaposition. And juxtaposition is nothing more than holding 2 things together so that we can look at their differences. Parallelism was where we saw a lot of similarities. Juxtaposing means that we hold 2 things together closely so that we can look at their differences. Take a look at the 2 fish. If they're swimming around the tank on opposite sides, it's going to be really hard to notice their differences. But when they're put side by side, you can definitely easily point them out. So let's see how this works with photos, because photography is great for juxtaposing. And next one is showing you nature. It's a nature scene. So on the right you have those hard rocks, and on the left you have green foliage, and you feel the difference in those things. One is warm and comforting, and the other side is very hard and damaging, right? So putting those things close together like that helps to highlight how beautiful and green the green is, and how really dark and dirty the rocks are. If they were by themselves, standing alone, you may not notice the beautiful green color. It's only because it's juxtaposed with something so dark and dank. And finally, we have one of my favorite pictures. It's a baby, innocent, pure, untouched, held next to a man who is obviously older, wise, kind of tainted by the tattoos, or the tattoos tell a story of his life. He has a life story to tell, and they're on his body, whereas the baby on the right here is untouched. So standing alone, you might look at this man with the tattoos very differently, but when held up against this baby, you see this purity versus this experience in this picture. So that's juxtaposition, holding things side by side to make colors and ideas really stand out. Now, juxtaposing is easy with photos, but unfortunately, This is not graphic arts. So we have to do the English thing, and we have to juxtapose poetry. So poets juxtapose within poems. That means they hold things side by side, words side by side, descriptions side by side, so that you get a stronger feeling for each of those things. I thoroughly hate loving you. Hate and love is held side by side and used in the same sentence. Your heart is a perfectly carved stone set deep into your chest, soft as granite. So the chest is soft as granite. The heart is a perfectly carved stone. Purposely held soft granite next to carved stone because you feel the hardness of the stone and the soft as granite. I grip you gently with angel's claws, icy breath scorching your warm, shivering skin. Icy breath, hot skin. Again, held side by side. The differences stand out much, much more. So that's all juxtaposition is within a poem, or juxtaposing. But we can also juxtapose two poems by holding them side by side and looking for similarities and differences. Let's take a look at how that works. These are poems that are familiar to you. They're both about roaches. The one on the left is written for a target audience of little kids, and the one on the right is more adult. Scuttle, scuttle, little roach, how you run when I approach, up above the pantry shelf, hastening to secrete yourself. Disgusting. But you can see it's sing-songy, and it's more for kids. As opposed to the right side, last night when I got up to let the dog out, I spied a cockroach in the bathroom, crouched flat on the cool porcelain. Delicate antenna probing the toothpaste gap and feasting himself on a gob of it in the bowl. Disgusting. So you see the difference right there in the way that the topic is treated, or the subject of roaches. So let's take a closer look. If we had to juxtapose these and we were asked to compare and contrast them, you would look at the rhythm and rhyme scheme. The one on the left has a rhythm and rhyme scheme. The one on the right does not. So there's a difference right there. Then we look at figurative language. Both have figurative language. If you look over on the left-hand side, you'll see down here it says, timid roach, why be so shy? There, right off the bat, just that one spot you can see there's personification. A roach can't be timid or shy. Those are human characteristics. And when you look on this side, let's move that out of the way, you're going to see they're crouched like lions in the ledges of sewers. Their black eyes in the darkness alert for tasty slime. That's imagery, and of course, like lions in the ledges of sewers is a simile. So we also have figurative language. Now let's just take a look at an easy one. Author's attitude towards the subject. Juxtaposing this, we see that the left side is gross. They find it not gross. I'm sorry, this is backwards. But on the right side, this author clearly finds roaches to be absolutely disgusting. So there you have it. That's how you juxtapose two poems. You'll hold them side by side and look for the similarities and differences. So now you know. Let's get quizzical. I'll see y'all in class.